Truth is the foundation of journalism.
Anna Garcia, or Vox. I'm not saying that second bit. I tried. It's no good. A versatile garrison support. So far we've covered a lot of offensive abilities, and today we're going to cover a defensive one. And as you can see, she's in my lineup. So let's start with the tactical skill, Investigator. If on the map, increase damage resist of the officer's troop and all your troops within one map grid by up to 35%. If garrisoned in your base, increases the damage resist of your base by up to 30%, lasts for 8 seconds. So as soon as that ability pops, you've got a constant resistance for 8 seconds. Now, we do like our tactical skills to have something and something extra. This does the same thing, but you can apply it to the base, which is really handy. If you're a defensive player, if you're out in the field, it's a good skill. It's not as good as a shield if you're in the field, but as you can see, I'm running it with a shield. So it's good for a unit that can soak. So it's going to be a 4. It's a good 4, nearly a 5. I think if it had some sort of damage buff in there as well, we'd give it a 5. Encouraging. Increases the damage this officer's troop deals while garrisoned inside your base up to 32%. An excellent skill. This skill is a 3 out of 5 on the basis that this skill, if you're out in the field, is just wasted. If it's inside the base, that's great. Your unit has a 32% damage increase, but it needs to be inside the base. As stated, this is garrison support. But if you're outside of the base, this skill is not getting used, so it's going to be a 3. Even though the damage for it is very high, it's not applicable anywhere else outside of the base. The third skill, special skill, you're on camera. Whenever this officer's troop attacks enemy ground troop, the attack has a 30% chance to inflict fatigue on their target for 4 seconds, reducing the target's firepower by up to 30%, can be triggered once every 4 seconds. I like this skill quite a lot. It's brilliant to use out in the field. It's also exceptionally good as a defensive ability. The serious reduction of incoming damage means that you can deal you can increase your survivability both inside your base and for the unit, and of course this is going to be a skill that you perhaps might want to train on a super heavy or a Marty MBT, for example, just to give you a little bit of an edge in survivability in a tank to tank fight. Maybe not, but this is going to be a 4. The fourth skill, Raised Spirits, increases the firepower of the officer's troop by 5% and the HP by 5%. The running theme with Vox is that she is excellent for training skills. This one is very good, an HP buff and a firepower buff if you are running a unit with a shield and you want to train this skill onto the aid. It's a balanced skill, you can do that, which means your shield will then increase as the shield is based off of the unit's HP stat. So this one I'm actually going to give a 5. It's a very, very, very good trainable skill. It's exceptionally good in the field. It's very good when you apply it to the Thorn SH Vox combo, because it increases the shield capacity for the base as well. So this is just going to be a 5. She does exactly what she's supposed to do here, which is support and garrison. So we're moving into the last skill, and it is a boosted skill for Investigator. We now get Winning Mentality. If on the map, increases the damage resist of this officer's troop and all troops within one map grid by 35% for 4 seconds. So that hasn't changed. If garrisoned inside your base, increases the damage resist of your base by 30% for 8 seconds and reduces the prep time of garrisoned officer skills by half a second. If you're running a setup like mine, which is artillery heavy, as you can see right here, these are all artillery. This is very handy indeed. If you're running a build blocker setup where you set your base up and it's deployed, you're going to get yourself a nice little edge here. So this skill is a 5. It takes an already good skill and it makes it amazing, giving her an overall score of 4.2 out of 5. Out of all of the aura-based officers, and by aura-based officers, we'll get to that, I'll show you what I mean in a second, she is easily the best one, by a mile. The only officers that are comparable to her, Miss Percy being one, and Tip of the Spear being 2. Both of these officers are support that use an area of effect skill in order to increase the units within their radius or increase their damage resist. So we're either looking at increasing the damage output or increasing the damage resist. In terms of defensive capability, Vox gives you a 30% damage resist from all sources for 8 seconds, repeated every 8 seconds, and reduces the skill time for skill activation by every officer firing the skill. If you've got a shield, that means your shield's, instead of being popped off every 8 seconds, it's now 7.5 seconds. The thing is that doesn't sound like a lot until that shield saves you for a whole second, and you, in that time, your base targets the artillery and destroys it, which will hurt the enemy resources. So for a defensive player, I would recommend Vox. Vox is good if you have a heavy soak, so like heavy infantry that's attacking a base, or a super heavy that's attacking an enemy base. Vox is excellent, not necessarily attached to that unit, but to a supporting unit nearby. The reason being is the +1 map grid. It'll affect, her tactical skill will affect any unit within the radius. So you don't have to skip out on the maximum shield potential or damage resist potential of your infantry or SH or MBT in order to benefit from her in the field. It's an exceptionally good skill. I do see her get used, and I often see her get misused. I see her being put on artillery trucks sometime, and I'm like, okay, great, your artillery trucks are going to take slightly less damage. They're still going to get one shot because they've got such low HP. So it's a good skill to have, and much like Miss Percy or Tip of the Spear, these officers benefit army groups significantly. I'm never saying don't run these officers. I'm saying if you have a spot for them in your army, make sure that you're getting it into an AG, because everyone in the AG is going to benefit from the area of effect skills these 3 officers can provide. And Vox is easily the best one for an army group. 35% damage resist for 4 seconds for all units in her radius. You stick her on an infantry squad, on the back of an infantry squad with Everbloom sitting in front, and then you park this combo up next to an MBT, an SH, or another infantry squad that's about to start a siege attack on a base. When these two kick in, you're going to be getting the bonus defense from the bunker, from the adjacent bunker, overlapping, and you'll be getting her damage resist skill overlapping onto the target as well. Very, very, very good skill. Defensive skills in this game don't get looked at a lot because by their very nature they don't deal damage, and if you overstack your defensive skills, it becomes very easy to get lost in all the extra bonuses you're getting for no coefficient damage being put out. So let me show you. Okay, here we have a battle report. We can see that Vox is on the SH, so she's providing damage resist to the base, but I haven't sacrificed my damage coefficient. I've still got 4 out of the 5 units on my base dealing damage coefficient. And you'll see that ATG and the Lib artillery are dealing a lot of coefficient damage, a lot of skill damage. So this is why I look at the coefficiency quite heavily when looking at officers, and today it's quite refreshing to see how a defensive unit impacts that. So this is just food for thought, guys. We're here to think up of new ways which we can use our officers, and Vox isn't for everyone. If you're looking to reduce the incoming damage for either siege reasons or base defense reasons, in my case I block builds, she's fairly useful, almost essential. But if you're just doing field play and field attacks, if no one else in the army group has an area of effect officer like Percy or Tip, might be worth thinking how you can slide her in. I mean, I wouldn't slide her in anything other than infantry, because the coefficient damage output of infantry is so low due to the firepower being so low. So she's excellent for those sort of things, as an aid on a soak, or aid to buff a shield, or on an infantry officer. I can't really say much more than that, guys. Vox, Anna Garcia, scores a nice little 4.2. She's a good officer. She's a good officer. She's not for everyone, but she's definitely a good officer.